celebrations, the time to value each other or to offer gifts. But do we stop enough to realize that all of this existence is still here because of a gift? Covenant faith. But that no man is justified by the law in the sight of God, it is evident, for the just shall live by faith. This lesson is tackling a larger question, faith, and why a covenant is bound by this. It's asking the question of, why is faith crucial to this covenant? Sabbath mentions a story of atonement, specifically a Greek mythology of Odysseus and the Odyssey that we know of, and how Odysseus, he is paying a price to atone for his mistakes. Interesting to see a story like that, but that doesn't make sense in the context of what we're going to be studying. But let's skip all that and go all the way at the bottom. Down below, there are 5 questions. Each of them are really important, but I'll only mention one. Why must salvation be a gift? But let's pause. As a reminder, this lesson is linked in this video, down in the description. So I encourage you to both follow along with this video and to study on your own. The clarity of this lesson is beyond important for us today. Let's continue. Think about those 2 questions as we go through the lesson. Why is faith crucial to this covenant? And why must salvation be a gift? We're going to skip Sunday because Sunday focuses on why God had to die, more accurately chose to die, but we will skip that because it's talking more about these broad things to show that we had to pay the price, but God chose to do it in our place and shares how this is very important to us to understand. But I think that Monday reflects on that question that tells us to focus on this, which Sunday kind of emphasizes quite a bit. So, the way Sunday is suggesting, let's move on to Monday. Monday focuses on what price was paid with God dying. See, I want to stop here and just quickly reflect. What gift is this? Death as a gift? Look at this quote in the very beginning of the last paragraph. We have this promise of eternal life because Jesus alone could repair the breach that first caused us to lose that eternal life. How? Because the righteousness and infinite value of the Creator alone could cancel the debt we owed to the broken law. That is how wide the breach caused by sin was. So, to clarify, we break the laws that keep our own existence in harmony and peace, this perfection for us. So imagine the law of gravity breaking free, everything floating around, but our own bodies would have a problem. See, spacesuits require pressure to keep our own bodies intact, because in space, those same laws that we use right now would be fatal without them. We need gravity, we need those laws to just exist. See, we did that to ourselves on a spiritual level. And now, because we broke these laws, we're going to die. We are now in a spiritual void like space, without the laws to keep us safe. God chooses to restore the laws by dying. How does God dying solve things? Well, Tuesday begins to talk about that through Abraham. See, Abraham had a faith in getting a son, which Tuesday touches upon, which is highly unlikely for him, yet he still has that faith. This is setting up that question of why God had to die, the faith we must have, and the covenant that we have, and how we need salvation. So all of that. Wednesday continues talking about that, so we're going to kind of merge the two together. So Wednesday continues on that, but it focuses on these deep words that show us character. It shows us how words specifically show the type of faith and how we become valued and respected by God. But I want to pause and explain a bit more simplified. I think it warrants you guys studying it for yourselves, but this is it's very difficult to explain. There's so much depth into it. So I wanted to kind of break free from what it's saying, and I wanted to focus on this main question that I have, especially when I was studying this, which is, how can we understand God dying for us and what that means? Abraham humanizes that. This story of Abraham is God giving a glimpse through Abraham's faith, through how emotional it is and how all of this ties in. First, we see God as a father, and we see how us messing up brings pain to us, but also pain to our Father who witnesses this. Imagine our children. We love them. See, I have a nephew who I love so much. I don't understand how it keeps growing, but it keeps growing and growing. And one time when he got hurt, I didn't know what to do. I just couldn't figure out what to do to make him feel better because he had the pain. It just hurt for me to see his face with that sorrow. I just couldn't stand it and didn't know what to do. Our sin did that. We broke out of that safety and chose to embrace death. Not just any death, but this horrible death. Abraham, when he had his son and was sacrificing that, it's the closest that we get to understanding God giving up Jesus for us and for loving us to that point that we got the price paid by God. He suffered the eternal death that was our price to pay and paid it in our place. What price could we ever pay that would be enough for a power that binds gravity together to keep everything in its place? We can't begin to pay, yet it's free. So, faith enters. Wednesday talks a lot about this and says it quite well, but at the end, there's a quote that I think ties it pretty well together. This great truth, that of being declared righteous, not because of any act that we can do, but only because of faith in what Christ has done for us, is the essence of the phrase righteousness by faith. The act of knowing allows us to change and either accept or refuse that sacrifice. It's the faith that we need. Thursday compares faith and work. So read it. I want to skip over that because I don't want to make this take too long. So please read it for yourselves. But it talks about faith and works, or if we can earn our gift of salvation, which from what we've seen, we can't. How could we ever pay that price? But I want to let you guys read that and end on Friday's quote because this is powerful. The only way in which he, the sinner, can attain to righteousness is through faith. By faith, he can bring to God the merits of Christ, and the Lord places the obedience of his Son to the sinner's account. Christ's righteousness is accepted in place of man's failure. Just to clarify a bit more from what I'm understanding when I read that, when we are before God, being judged by that law, Jesus and his righteousness, see, Jesus steps in front, and his perfection is seen instead of our law breaking. We just need that faith in Jesus taking our place. We learn a lot from Abraham, and we see that he had that faith in God right before sacrificing his son. Because basically the whole life of Abraham is an amazing journey in learning faith. It's amazing for all of us. But let's look at those two questions to end. Why is faith crucial to this covenant? Honestly, how else could we afford to earn it? And the second question, actually, why must salvation be a gift? I mean, how else could we afford to earn it? See, these gifts that we exchange with parties and celebrations, we're only here because of that insane love that we cannot imagine, that gave us this life, that promises a hope and freedom from all of this, so we can keep moving with the promise of happiness, eternal life, and all of that. What hope would we have, right? So, for you, how will you treat the second chance?